Welcome to another episode of Hot and Healthy. And I have two gorgeous blondes on the show today. We've got Marlene, who is an environmental manager, and Sandee, who's an EFL teacher. And they have a unique and not so unique way of relating to each other, which I think you're all going to really enjoy their story. They're both breast cancer survivors and people who've used the experience to make certain changes in their lives and to serve the world in different ways. So welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have two people on the couch. It's usually one.
For us too.
Yay! So Sandee, you've had your diagnosis twice.
Yeah.
And one of those was 6 years ago, am I right?
Right. So 6 years ago I was diagnosed through a mammogram, actually, a regular mammogram. And I opted to have radiation or lumpectomy and radiation. Right. It seemed like the simplest thing. I just wanted everything done, over with, out of me. And typically when you're in that age range, they give you a medication to try and stop any estrogen from doing its thing, and it caused a heart attack. So I had to go off of all medication, and I decided to live my life, basically. If I continued with another medication, it made me feel old and arthritic and not myself. I just spent 6 or 7 weeks not feeling like me, so I opted to just take my chance. And 4 years later, it came back. The chance, it happened. And so this time I had a bilateral mastectomy, and I didn't need chemo. And I'm in the middle of reconstruction. So I'm a work of art at the moment.
Oh, I like that, a work of art.
Yeah, I'm a work of art.
What a great way to describe it.
Yeah, every day is a new experience. Every day I look in the mirror and I don't know what it's going to look like.
Okay.
So it's good.
Okay. So it's an adventure.
It is an adventure, and it's a good adventure, actually. There's a lot of good things happening.
Yeah. And Marlene, yours was 5-6 years ago as well?
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah. I found the lump. I went for mammograms before. They didn't pick up anything. So one morning, just waking up, I was lying in bed and I felt something funny. I was flying out to South Africa at the time. Went to the doctor quickly. You cannot always immediately get an appointment. So 10 days, few days later, I had my ultrasound. It didn't really, nothing serious. You had to go for a fine needle aspiration. And then after that, I was diagnosed. It was a tough time. My sister was very ill at the time also, diagnosed. Immediately, the moment it happened, you feel like, just take it out of my body and just take off everything, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
And the doctor at the time, he was a Palestinian doctor, and he said, no, you're too young. And so he only did a lumpectomy. They realized at the time that more had to be removed. So I went, a few days later, I had to go back to theatre. And then we started the chemo and later the radiation, lost all the hair. I think the most traumatic thing for me, I had this long blonde hair. So that was the most traumatic thing for me, and also for me that my children at this stage, 14 years old, they really took it very hard. So all the emotions and trauma around that. I had wonderful friends in my life. I can't say who they were. They were Nicole and her gorgeous husband. And they really took such good care of me. And I think that what I realized is the community you surround with.
It's true.
It's so important.
Yeah.
And my friends have protected me, and they've been so good to me. And you realize a lot of, yes, it's tough, and but there's so much good coming from it. So, yeah.
It is a community.
Yes,
I had the same experience. My friends here at the college completely took care of me, because when I had it done the first time I had it done at home, and my attitude was, I'll tell you when it's all over. I'm just going to do it. My vacation's coming up. I did it in one day. So in Canada, we went in and out within 8 hours. I was home, and my vacation was starting. So I had 5 days. I couldn't go to the sand. I couldn't go to the beach. But other than that, and then I went back to work. Everything was fine. But here, it was a longer procedure, and I kept getting infections. But my friends, they wanted to do something. It was so important for them to be involved in some way. And so they did up a list of meals, and they fed me for a month.
Wow.
They showed up at the hospital, they would keep me company, and one person would come in, then the next person would go out. There was always somebody in the hospital with me. It really is a community event.
Yes.
When you
And,
get cancer.
and healing is a community event.
It has to be. Right? It's really hard to do it completely on your own. Right?
And as you go through the whole, first denial, and then of course the fear of what's going to happen. Am I going to be okay, especially with young children? And I must say also at work, I just told Sandee while we were sitting outside, the work community also, I have one guy working with me, he protected me with his life. If one of the most important things during chemo, you have chemo fog, your brain just stopped working. And when this Excel spreadsheet and I opened it on my computer, I really got panic attacks. And he just, when he saw that the first time, he told me, I will do it for you, just, And it was amazing. It really, the community, how they took care of you. And but also you need to tell them how you feel. They won't be able to help you if you are not, you don't share that thing.
The majority of the survivors that I know are very similar to Marlene and I. We're very independent women, very strong, and we don't want to look weak. We want to continue to live our lives. My whole thing was, I was running a school, I was the principal, I was a teacher trainer, I was in the middle, I had 3 courses coming up, and my radiation took place in the middle of a course. So I organized it in such a way that I would go every afternoon. So I would train in the morning, run on my lunch hour across the city, strip down, do the thing, have my radiation, get back in the car, and drive back across town to do my second course. And a lot of people said, well, why don't you just stop? I needed my life to be normal. I needed it to be as normal as possible. And part of normalcy is doing the things that you usually do. You also end up making some very strange and interesting decisions. Right? I didn't have any tolerance for people who wanted to moan and whine. I don't like whiners to begin with, but anybody who was complaining about life or wanted to sort of jump onto a pity party that I wasn't having, I really didn't have time for it, and I became a little more direct about that. In the past I would have just said, okay, well, they need some time, they need to talk this out for me, and I would give them that time. And around the time of radiation, I just said, look, I don't have time for this. I'm on a tight schedule. This is taking an hour out of my life where I have to run across town. I don't have time for this. So that was interesting because it made me actually continue doing that after the process. After that first set of skills, basically, that jumped in on top of having to go through all this treatment. There was a new set of skill set that arrived with it. Yeah.
Marlene, what changed for you after or during this process?
I think one of the what we said is I could do everything myself. My mom said the first words that I could say was self. Okay. And this is really one of the things I realized I don't have to do everything myself. Okay, it's not necessary. It doesn't take away who I am and what I am. That I'm still very independent. But it also made me, at some stages you might be a little bit fearful of what if. And this took away, it took away completely. I started living, I was never afraid of anything, but if I just climbed a mountain, now I would climb the highest mountain, you become absolutely fearless. If I climb the mountain, I can fall. It's okay. You can only, if your harness is on, you can only fall 6 feet, and it's fun. It's right. So you become, after that, I ran my marathons. I've done amazing things after my breast diagnosis. Also learn not to live life so careful. And I think also for me the very important thing is also the example that I would set to my children. Just get up and go and enjoy life and make the best of every moment. Nothing is guaranteed. Not one moment, not 1 hour is guaranteed. So just live life to the fullest.
Live at large.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't look too far into the future. Now, not because I don't think I'm going to live to the future, it's not that, but I want to be present in every moment that I'm living. And I know that in the past, before breast cancer, there was a little bit more about the future. So I would, for example, you get something that you really loved, and rather than using it now, I would save it for later. I would savor it for later, even a piece of jewelry. So I think, oh, it's very special, I don't want to lose it. well, you know what, if you lose it, you lose it. If you're not wearing it, you can't enjoy it. And so after breast cancer, I have to say that, you know, I started living very much in the moment. So I'll plan something now, and I'm much more spontaneous again. Anything that required a lot of stress on my part, I have basically eliminated. If it causes me anxiety, or if I'm doing something and I'm thinking, I just don't want to deal with this, and there's this problem, I just go, well, then if I'm not enjoying it, why am I doing it? And I don't do it anymore, right? I pick and choose. I'm selective with what I do and what I don't do. And people who drain me, you know, there are toxic people in the world. And so if there were toxic people in my world, they're not in my world anymore. That was a decision I made very clearly because it was exhausting, right?
And then Sandee, I think we should tell them about dragon boating.
Oh yes,
I
totally want to hear about the dragon.
So after I was diagnosed in Canada, I didn't want to get involved in a talking group. I was tired of talking. I didn't want to talk it out. I didn't want to hug it out. I wanted action, and I'm action oriented. And so I'd heard that there was a group in Nova Scotia called Bosom Buddies, and it was a dragon boat group. Like Marlene said, I've never, you know, certain things I had never done before. I decided I've got nothing to lose. So I signed up, called them, showed up one night, and got in a dragon boat. And a dragon boat basically holds 22 people, a steer, a coach, or a drummer, and 20 paddlers. And it originated for breast cancer survivors in Canada, on the west coast of Canada, by a doctor who is also a breast surgeon. And he wanted to demonstrate that women who have had breast cancer and have had lymph nodes removed, he wanted to demonstrate that exercising is a good thing, not a bad thing. Because up until 20 years ago, breast cancer survivors were told, now you cannot lift anything beyond 5 pounds, you cannot lift your groceries, you cannot put your arms above your head.
Ever, or just
Ever. Not just after you have breast cancer. I mean, I've met people here who 7 years later say, oh no, I used to be a Zumba instructor and now I just walk. I'm not allowed to lift my arms above my head. Like, what are you reading? But anyhow, so there are teams all across the world now for breast cancer survivors. And so when I came to Doha 4 years ago, I'm from the east coast of Canada. I wanted a water sport. They didn't have a dragon boat. So I did other things. Then 1 year later, basically an American man who's also originally from Hong Kong brought a dragon boat here and advertised it. So I was with him from the very beginning. And I wanted to start a breast cancer team, but I wasn't meeting anybody. I tried and I tried and I tried and I tried, and I couldn't meet any breast cancer survivors. Then I got diagnosed 1 year later. 2 years ago, and went through this whole series of events here in Qatar, and suddenly I started to meet survivors again, because I'm in the hospital, I'm in and out of the hospital, I'm over at Alamala, which is the cancer hospital, I'm in oncology, I'm meeting people in the changing rooms, I'm meeting people in the waiting room. I did up some brochures and gave one to the physiotherapist that I was going to and said, can you just tell some women about this? Right? And then I started writing articles for newspapers and for magazines in the city. And before we knew it, people started coming. So it's been since last November, so we're almost celebrating our 18th month anniversary. We now take 2 boats out every Saturday. So there were 36 people 2 weekends ago. We had 28 people on Saturday. And there's a big race in Dubai in October of 2016, and they're actually doing a breast cancer race. So our goal at this point is to have enough survivors in the boat that we can race and represent Qatar.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. And Marlene, you're in there too, aren't you?
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Absolutely.
So the whole thing is, you need to keep active. One of the things very important is that, especially if estrogen is positive, that if you gain weight, gaining weight is one of the worst things that you can do with your breast cancer patients. So, I mean, this is why I run and I do a lot of things, but this was just something different, and it's also keeping, especially if you have the lymphedema, it's also keeping the mobility in the arm, which is excellent stuff.
Yeah.
She's really tough on us. But it's excellent. And you're outside, you just have time in nature, which is really amazing.
Yeah.
So we started participating in the CNIQ Falcon, and then we started this. Started participating in this group, and it's really amazing. And it's a survivor, it's supporters, it's just a happy, fun.
And there's probably the age range is about 21 to 60 so far, I'd say. We have students from the college, and then there's a lot of folks who have come because their grandmothers had breast cancer, or their sister, or their aunt, or their mother, or I don't even know everybody's stories. But every week now, for the last 3 months, every week I have 3 to 5 people contacting me saying, "Can I come? I found a friend they want to come to," and they just show up on the beach. And I'm keeping it really simple. As I said, everything has to be simplified in life. I don't want any complications. So it's a WhatsApp group. You want to come? Give me your number. Put you in the WhatsApp group. Twice a week I send out a message saying, "Who wants to paddle Wednesday? Who wants to paddle Saturday?" People respond. I put them on a spreadsheet. They show up. It's that simple, right? And then people who, we put people in the boat based on their skill set and based on their size and weight, because there's 3 really different sections of the boat. And so right now we have a newbie boat, so people who are brand new or going through treatment at the moment. So if they're going through chemo or radiation, that's the boat they go in, because we just stop. If it's too strenuous, just stop. Just relax, let us paddle you. And the other boat is for folks who have finished treatment, are a little more fit, or a little more experienced, have been coming to more practices.
And is it predominantly women?
No, it's a real mix, yeah. The survivors right now, they're all women. And we actually also have a woman who had cervical cancer and another woman who had colon cancer, so they've also joined us. But we have a number of men. So, the grandmother, the aunt, the mother-in-law, the sister, yeah, right? And so we have a number of men in the boat as well. And it's fabulous. Right, and we talk very openly, right? It's not a big, we don't get in and discuss breast cancer and, woe is me. You get in the boat, we're there to paddle, and we're there to have a good time and to learn and to get strong. And if people want to talk, there's I set up a second WhatsApp group, and it's just for survivors. So it's the breast cancer support group, and it's just for survivors if people want to talk, or they're having a bad day, or they have information to share, and it's only for survivors, so that there is that level of privacy if they want it. So some people are on that group, but they're not on the Dragon Boat group yet.
Right. And so we are coming to the end. I really could talk to you ladies for a lot longer. You've touched on a number of different things. The community, the importance of staying fit and healthy, relationships with others in terms of doing something collectively, positively, outdoors in nature, as you mentioned with the Dragon Boat, keeping life simple, living in the now, which is a lot. What would you say in terms of someone listening to this who may be fearful that they're going to get cancer, because there's a lot of media attention out there saying, the statistics are quite frightening. A lot of people may be concerned it's going to happen to them. Or someone who has been through it or been touched by it in some way. What would you like to leave them with in terms of holistic health and sustainable success?
I would say live your life large. Be very cognizant of what you need. So eat well, make sure that you are physically active. Surround yourself with positive, loving people. But mostly live your life large. Live your life well, to the best of your ability. And by that I mean, eliminate the things that cause you undue stress, because they're really not necessary, right? You realize once you've had a crisis in your life that the things that you were holding really dear, that you were the only one that could do certain things, that's not quite true. Actually, it's not true at all, right? And that if you actually check yourself out and have mammograms, and you actually you catch it early, it's very survivable. It's very survivable. The problem is when people are afraid of it and afraid to go to get themselves checked, or afraid to touch themselves to see if there's actually a lump or a dimple or a problem. That's when cancer is detected at a later stage, and that's when treatment is also a lot more invasive, and that's when people get really sick from treatment as well. They get really sick before they get better. or they don't make it because they're too afraid to get to that stage, right?
Yeah, and I think also the one thing, this is the most important thing, early detection, okay? Live healthy living, you know, drink your green smoothies and do your exercise. But then after that, I mean, if you've done what you could have done, there's a saying, this also will come to pass. This will go over. I mean, when you are in the middle of your chemo and in the middle of your radiation, it feels like the longest time. It's only 6 months.
Yeah.
It's not so bad. Yes, your hair will fall out. It will grow back.
That's right.
It's not the end of the world, but just, as Sandee said, just enjoy, embrace life, do whatever you can at the moment, and I think that's the gift of it all in the end.
Beautiful. And talk about it.
Yeah,
right?
share.
Because it's not a shameful thing, and a lot of people seem to think that if they get cancer, they did something wrong. I had somebody tell me, "Oh, you got cancer because you didn't have children, you didn't breastfeed." What?
I breastfed twins.
Exactly. Right? So it's not what you've done, right? You have not caused your cancer. Cancer has happened. Get on with it.
Yeah.
Right? It can happen to anyone. It's not why me, it's why not you, and get on with it.
Absolutely. So thank you both so much for saying yes to being guests on Hot and Healthy.
Thank you for having us.
And your story really is very motivating. And I'm really, really hoping that the people that are tuning into this are really listening to everything that you have to say, all the different angles, because there's quite a few angles here. So thank you both so much. Good luck with the dragon boat racing.
Yeah, thank you.
Who knows where that will go? Sounds like a lot of fun. I might turn up
maybe
myself.
if you show up a
why
dog
not?
and jump in.
Absolutely. I could use a bit of a workout. So thank you both so much again.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning into another episode of Hot and Healthy with Snap TV. Go to their website and check out all the things they have to offer and who's been on the show. Go to NicoleVanHattem.com and download your free information, and make sure that you find many different creative ways to be hot and healthy. This episode of Hot and Healthy is presented to you by me, Nicole Van Hattem, holistic success coach and best-selling author, and brought to you by Snap TV. Tune into the show and listen to the people and practices that help you to think, eat, thrive.